You want to know what I really like to talk about on this channel? Dragon Ball Z. Yep, Dragon Ball Z was a show. It was one of my favorite childhood shows to ever grow up, and it's one of my favorite anime series in general. I grew up watching the anime, and I also grew up reading some of the manga, and I grew up trying to draw the characters until now when I finally get to draw the characters a little bit well, and I'm still trying to practice about how to draw pretty well. Dragon Ball Z was by far one of, if not the greatest anime to ever been made, and it's just one of the greatest animes out there. It's one of those animes that got me into anime in the first place, and I've watched countless of anime since then. Allow me to explain. For those of you who have been living under a rock, and that's probably going to be some rock, considering that Dragon Ball Z is the most popular anime series of all time, right next with One Piece, right next with Naruto, and so many others. Dragon Ball Z was basically the anime that got people into anime, and not a lot of people know about what anime is, and this is how people in the Western got into anime. And I have seen this anime all the way up till Dragon Ball Super. This anime is about Son Goku and his friends that are basically challenging their most greatest conflict, meeting every villain they face, and also have to go through some desperate measures while going on some adventures to find the Dragon Balls in order to make a wish and to prevent the villains from making any evil wishes. This was the anime that was absolutely pretty awesome. How I got introduced by it? Well, there's one answer that all 90s and early 2000s kids know. And that is none other than
I will make this whole planet suffer! This can't be happening! I am the Prince of all Saiyans once again!
Toonami. Yep, that's right. Toonami was the awesome action network there ever was. That, of course, along with Jetix and 4Kids. But for those of you who do not know, Toonami was an anime block that basically focuses on reruns of classic action shows like Batman the Animated Series, Superman the Animated Series, and Batman Beyond, and also other action adventure shows. But it mainly was known for showing anime and introducing us to anime. And this is basically animes like Yu Hakusho and so much more. For every Saturday, that of course along with watching Naruto on Cartoon Network as a kid. Yeah, I watched Naruto when I was very young, so yeah, I watched it along with Dragon Ball Z as well, and it was absolutely pretty awesome seeing Dragon Ball Z, and absolutely pretty much wonderful seeing this show and how this network introduced me to the anime in the first place, and how it got me into anime in the first place, which got me into watching shows like Cowboy Bebop, Shaman King, and Naruto, and so many others. And then I remember watching Dragon Ball Z again when I saw Dragon Ball Z Kai on CW 4Kids and later on Nicktoons. I even remember watching it from the beginning of the Saiyan Saga when I saw the introduction of a character named Raditz. We'll get to that in about a few minutes later. The characters of Dragon Ball Z are overall pretty recognizable and pretty likable. Like Goku, for example. Goku, the main character of the series. Basically, he is full of life and is also the most strongest and most powerful fighter ever, and is not pretty normal for a human. That's because he's not human, but we'll get to that later when we get there. again, take a shot when I say we'll get to that when we get there. Goku has been training since he was a child under the teachings of Master Roshi, and he overall makes friends along the way, like how he makes friends with Yamcha and Tien, Xiaozu, and of course Krillin. And of course throughout his journey of the original Dragon Ball series, we do get to see him going through a major character arc where he ended up losing his best friend Krillin, and this basically sparked his rage, sparked his Saiyan heritage, where he wanted to kill King Piccolo for killing his friend Krillin, and Goku defeats King Piccolo in battle, and with King Piccolo's dying breath, he basically gives birth to, well, Piccolo, the one that we all know from the series, which we'll get into later when we get there. However, he is pure of heart, and basically he lets his enemies live and doesn't really kill them until when throughout the Saiyan saga, desperate times had to be called for desperate measures. Basically, after him facing Raditz and the other Saiyans like Vegeta and Nappa, he would basically want to become stronger. In the show, he was always obsessed with fighting. He is obsessed with fighting. He wanted to grow stronger. Even as a kid, he also was obsessed with fighting and wanted to grow stronger and stronger and stronger. And he was also a bit of a pacifist as well. I mean, he didn't really want to hurt others. Basically, he wanted to protect those who can't protect themselves, and also protecting his close friends and family. Like how he was trying to protect Gohan from Raditz, but Raditz ended up kidnapping Gohan. Then there's Bulma, Goku's friend. Where Bulma has been friends with Goku since Goku was just a child, and even going throughout many adventures throughout their journey and throughout Goku's character arc and all that and whatnot. She basically helps the Z Fighters by helping making inventions and all that and whatnot, even though that sometimes she does crack jokes and she is a bit funny. At the same time, she does help the Z Fighters to help them get through some of their situations, even if the odds are against them. There's also some other things about Bulma that we will get into later when we get there. Throughout the Saiyan saga, from the beginning, we get to be introduced by the first villain of the series of Raditz. Raditz is basically Goku's older brother. He is basically a part of an alien race called the Saiyans, which are a violent alien race that causes destruction of multiple planets throughout the galaxies, taking over planets and killing the planet's population, and destroying planets as well. Basically, the Saiyans are the bad guys. And he is there on a mission to find Goku and to destroy Earth, and to make Goku join him and the Saiyans in order to destroy Earth and destroy many, many planets and killing a lot of people. And basically, yeah, that's basically Raditz. And Raditz is basically weak, but as a kid, when I first saw him, he was very scary. He was absolutely one of the most scariest villains that I've seen, and he made me very scared. Yeah, and the scouters that the Saiyans and also the Frieza Force have are basically resemblance of the Terminator. While Raditz may seem to be powerful at first, well, not really that powerful, but at least from my opinion, from my point of view. However, he has been proven to be weak, and basically, yeah, I mean, he's by far one of the weakest villains from Dragon Ball, and one of the weakest villains from the beginning of the Saiyan saga, and that's basically it. Plus, he also reveals other Saiyans known as Vegeta and Nappa, which we'll get into those characters later when we get there. This character named Piccolo. Piccolo is by far one of the most interesting and one of the best developing characters I've seen, along with Goku, along with Vegeta and Gohan, until the Saiyaman saga. but you know, basically, yeah, he still is one of the most developing characters though, and overall, he's absolutely one of my favorites. Piccolo basically started off as a villain throughout the franchise, throughout the series, but he and Goku did eventually become friends throughout the events of Z. He and Goku did become really good friends, and it showed both his good side and his bad side. There were some motivations for him to fight Goku. As we all know, he's basically born from the Demon King Piccolo, and later he would basically avenge his father by defeating Goku by any means. And then when Raditz came to Earth, he had no other choice but to team up with Goku in order to fight Raditz and to kill him. And basically, yeah. Again, he and Goku did start off as enemies, but he eventually turned into a good guy, and eventually that he and Goku becomes really good friends. Even after when Goku was gone, he trained Gohan into becoming a fighter just like Goku, and basically cared for him like if he was his own son, and that's why he would end up hanging out with Gohan more often all the time, especially with him and Videl, and also taking care of Gohan's daughter Pan. And basically, yeah, Piccolo is by far one of the most awesome characters I've seen, and is one of the most developing characters. He is very interesting. He went from being a bad guy to a good guy to becoming an ally to the Z Fighters and becoming one of the Z Fighters, and basically, yeah, it was absolutely awesome and one of the most interesting developing characters I've seen. And then, of course, we have Gohan, who is by far one of the most developing and awesome characters I've seen, along with Piccolo and Vegeta, which Vegeta will get to later. Gohan is by far one of the most awesome characters I've seen. He is absolutely pretty cool. He did start off as basically a scaredy cat, but eventually he becomes a fighter and embraces his fighting heritage from his father, Goku. He's the son of Goku, the first son of Goku. And just overall, he is pretty awesome and one of the most developing characters, and also becomes friends with Piccolo, and he and Piccolo eventually becomes really good, awesome friends, and Piccolo would become a father figure to him, and he would obviously learn from the best from Piccolo and, of course, Goku. There's even the other rest of the Z fighters like Krillin, Yamcha, Xiaozu, and Tien. But basically, yeah. I mean, Krillin is pretty awesome, and he is by far one of the most interesting and most awesome characters. He went from being a jokester to a fighter, to a to a father, and getting a job as a cop. And basically, yeah, that's spoilers, by the way, so sorry about spoiling for the entire anime, for those of you who haven't seen it. Anyways, throughout the beginning of Z, we basically explore through the Saiyan arc, where we get to learn more about Goku. We learn more that he's basically an alien from outer space, and is basically a part of an alien race known as the Saiyans, who are a violent alien race that destroy or take over planets, or probably selling planets for profit. And basically, yeah, and they're just pretty much a violent race, even at a very young age, and they would go to outer space to complete their mission to take over or destroy planets. And basically, yeah, that's basically what they are across the galaxy, until they work for Frieza. Frieza, who is basically an evil tyrant that basically doesn't really give a shit about life and doesn't really care for others, and would kill anyone who basically do anything wrong, as simple as that. And basically anyone who gets in his way to achieve his goals. Goku wasn't from Earth, because throughout the original Dragon Ball series, he seemed to be pretty off and all that. And basically, yeah, I mean, a normal kid with a tail and who can fight robots and all that, and who has super strength like Superman. And yeah, basically Goku is like the anime of Superman. And he's like the anime of Superman. And basically, yeah, I mean, both Superman and Goku have very similar origin stories, even though that their personalities are completely different. But basically, yeah. And anyways, Raditz basically kidnaps Goku's son Gohan, and Goku needs to find Gohan and save him from his brother Raditz. And in order to do that, he is forced to team up with his worst enemy, Piccolo. And both Goku and Piccolo have to team up in order to stop Raditz, and for Goku in order to save his son. And basically, yeah, that's what it is. Goku and Piccolo eventually defeat Raditz with Piccolo using his special beam cannon, and in the process that ended up killing Goku and Raditz. Anyways, Piccolo defeats Raditz by using his special beam cannon, while in the process killing Goku, and Goku dies and goes to Otherworld to be trained under King Kai, and has to be prepared for the other two Saiyans that are going to invade Earth within like about 100 days or so. It's confusing, but let's just roll with it anyways. And here are the other two Saiyans, Vegeta and Nappa. I mean, basically, through Vegeta's first appearance, he started off as an enemy, obviously, much like Piccolo. And like Piccolo, he's the most developing character that I have seen. Basically, Vegeta is basically a person that likes to follow his Saiyan heritage. And in his arc, and from his first arc, plus Vegeta is basically just an evil bad man. And the only thing that he really cares about is following his Saiyan heritage, his quote-unquote pride, and the only thing that he really cares about is pride and power, and nothing else in life but just pride and power. But eventually he grow to enjoy life and grow to be a character, which, again, we'll get into that later. And while Goku is in Otherworld to be trained by King Kai in order to be prepared for the two other Saiyans that are going to arrive on Earth within like about 100 or something days. I lost count. But anyway, yeah, in about a year or so, Piccolo now has to train Goku's son Gohan in order to defeat the Saiyans and prepare him for combat. And basically, yeah, as he sees that Gohan has basically a lot of potential power, probably more than Goku, and basically, yeah, he trains Gohan to be the warrior like his father. And I also really like about how Gohan's character has been developed. He went from whiny kid to being a fighter like his father, and basically embracing it. He eventually was scared at first, but eventually he embraces it. And basically, yeah. And Piccolo actually becomes really good friends with Piccolo. He befriends Piccolo and actually understands Piccolo, and understanding that he's not really a bad guy. I mean, yeah, Goku and Piccolo did start off as enemies, and they did fight in various tournaments, but eventually, throughout the series, they both become friends. Goku and Piccolo did start off as enemies, but eventually they become allies. Eventually they become friends. And Piccolo starts to becoming a good guy, doing good deeds. And basically, yeah, I mean, he wasn't just like a random bad guy. There was motivation behind it. And basically because of how the Demon King Piccolo gave birth to Piccolo, the one that we all know in the series, Basically, he wanted to avenge his father. He wanted to complete his father's task, and by avenging him, it shows both of his good side and his bad side. And basically, yeah, that's basically what Piccolo is. And then when Piccolo was training with Gohan, he seems to grow to like him as his own son. And basically, Gohan actually understands Piccolo a lot more better than the others, and doesn't see Piccolo as a bad guy at all, and Piccolo is not really that much of a bad guy. He's not really that much of a villain, but then again, that's what he kind of started off as, a villain. But he and Gohan mainly become allies, and basically, Gohan sees him as a father figure. Gohan just basically sees him as a father figure, and Piccolo basically becomes really good friends with Gohan as well, and also even helps Gohan and Videl from time to time, and even helps to take care of Gohan's daughter Pan whenever Gohan is out and doing some other things, doing some really busy stuff, and basically Piccolo becoming Pan's babysitter. And yeah, just absolutely really wonderful. I really like about how Piccolo was developed. He seems to pretty much start off as a villain, but eventually he grew to seem to good, and liking Gohan as his own son. And basically, yeah, is trying to do so hard to train Gohan to defeat the Saiyans on their arrival on Earth. They rely on Goku because, well, Goku's a bit more powerful, even though that he got his ass handed to him by Piccolo when Piccolo killed him and his brother Raditz. And basically, yeah. Anyways, yeah. The Saiyan arc is just overall pretty good, and it absolutely did a really amazing job developing on Goku, Piccolo, and of course Goku's son Gohan, which, yeah, it's absolutely pretty wonderful. I really like how these characters are a lot more developed pretty well, and they did a really amazing job with developing these characters. And even with setting up for Vegeta about what is about to come throughout the series, which, yeah, that is something we will talk about in a bit. Then we cut through the Frieza arc, which basically, the Frieza arc is by far, if not one of the best arcs that I have ever seen. And I've already mentioned about Frieza before, but I'll say it again. Frieza is by far one of the most evil villains I've seen throughout anime, and one of the most evil villains throughout Dragon Ball. And basically, yeah, Frieza's basically an evil alien tyrant that doesn't really give a shit too much about life, and basically wants to destroy a whole lot of planets, like how he was planning to destroy Namek, which basically that's Piccolo's home planet, as he is a Namekian. Yeah, I forgot to mention Piccolo is a Namekian as well, which basically the Namekians are peaceful alien races that basically just do peaceful things. And basically, yeah. And yeah. Meanwhile, that Vegeta is planning to betray Frieza and overthrowing him, and basically the Z fighters really need to prepare to fight Frieza, and also collect the Dragon Balls to wish their friends back to life. That is something I forgot to mention about the Dragon Balls. The Dragon Balls are basically this magical orb that are really, really, really important to the series. Anyways, the Dragon Balls are basically these magical orbs that can summon a magical dragon and can grant any wishes that anyone desires. Grant you any wish that you desire. And basically, yeah. I mean, most of the time there are some like other 3 wishes and all, but basically, yeah. Anyways, the Dragon Balls are basically magical orbs that you can summon the dragon with. And you can summon the dragon for the wishes that you desire. And basically, yeah, like, even you could wish anyone back from the dead. And Basically, yeah. Plus, as a kid, I always think that Frieza is kind of more like Darkseid of anime. You know who Darkseid is, right? The villain from DC Comics. Yep, that guy. The world of Dragon Ball is just overall pretty amazing. I mean, the series basically has its own expanded lore and everything like that. Like seeing the afterlife and the future and all that, and how time traveling works and all that. Even though the time traveling in this has a lot of plot holes, but then again, time traveling has always had plot holes. I mean, look at Back to the Future and Terminator; those have plot holes. And yeah, but anyways, it has like some really great world building, and the expansion of Dragon Ball Z and the expansion of the entire Dragon Ball universe is just outstanding. It is incredible, and I think Akira Toriyama did a really amazing job creating and world building this franchise, and also developing on the characters that we all know and love, and throughout their journeys as we all get to know them from one another. And it's not because of the nostalgia or anything like that, like seeing the awesome action scenes, which the action is overall pretty good. The action is animated very well, and the action is pretty good. It is overall pretty much epic. The action is pretty much epic, not like what you've seen in other media of some other anime, or just basically, if you probably count Naruto or One Piece, then probably yeah. But the action is absolutely pretty wonderful and is overall epic. It is intense. The intense feeling is absolutely amazing. It is absolutely wonderful. And basically, characters screaming for like about 10 whole minutes. And basically, yeah. But Dragon Ball Z is more to be than just that. And it shows about how the characters are overall developed pretty well throughout the course of the series. What makes the show really great are basically the characters' journeys and how we see the characters develop over the course of the series. And I really like about how these characters have really great stories and have really great development and really great character arcs, such as Vegeta, for example. And speaking of which, Vegeta is by far one of my most favorite characters of all time, and he's by far one of the most developed characters throughout Dragon Ball, and is one of the best fan-favorite characters in general. Throughout the course of the series, he does develop. Yeah, he did start off as a villain. He went from being a powerful, hungry Saiyan to destroy planets and killing a lot of people, to basically focusing more on his Saiyan pride, and basically, yeah, also went from being a Saiyan that only goal that he has is to defeat Goku in battle for his pride, and later becoming a good parent, a good husband, probably a lot more of a better parent and husband than Goku ever was. At least that's what people are saying. Vegeta's arc is just overall pretty amazing, and I really like about how they did a very good job with his arc. They overall did a pretty well job on his arc throughout the course of the series. Even though that Akira Toriyama really hated Vegeta, but after when he was a fan favorite character, they seemed to be keeping him through the course of the series, and basically, yeah. And I also really like Goku's journey in this as well, continuing from the original Dragon Ball. We see Goku basically growing more and more and more as a character, not because of, him getting into fights and also screaming all the time, but mainly we see him growing more and more and more as a character, and we see him basically becoming like this really cool fighter, Goku being stronger than we thought, and basically Goku at the same time trying to be a good parent and trying to be a good husband. And basically, yeah, they did a really amazing job with Goku's continuation journey in this. They absolutely did a really amazing job. And throughout the ending of the series, Goku later becomes the teacher, and later teaches this kid named Oob, and basically, yeah. But anyways, yeah, overall the series is absolutely just pretty wonderful, and it does a really great job with taking throughout the course of the characters' journey, not just Goku's journey, but also the rest of the Z Fighters' journey. They did a really amazing job with developing these characters, and I also really like about how they add new additional characters to the Z Fighters, like Future Trunks, for example. Which, speaking of which, Future Trunks is by far one of my all-time favorite characters. I mean, he's a character that has been through everything, and he has one of the most brilliant arcs ever. And throughout his first appearance, we don't really know too much about him, and that he was a mysterious character. Other than that, he's a really cool guy from the future with a badass sword, and also has and also can turn into a Super Saiyan. And basically, yeah, he is absolutely pretty wonderful. He's basically the son of Vegeta and Bulma from the future. Just absolutely wonderful. Yep, that's right. Bulma also has a son too, named Trunks. Yep, that guy. This guy right here. Yep. And this overall changes both Vegeta and Bulma's character and develops their character pretty well throughout the course of the series. And basically, yeah, this is absolutely pretty wonderful. And Trunks is just absolutely pretty amazing. But overall, throughout the series, they did a really amazing job with the characters' journey and seeing these characters develop. That's pretty awesome. And the action is just overall pretty amazing. In fact, this show, I would definitely recommend you to see it. Now, I know anime is not really for everyone, and, well, basically Dragon Ball Z isn't for everyone. I mean, there is a lot of filler with the series, yeah, but overall it is pretty good, and you do see the characters develop a lot more and more, and get to know their pretty interesting backstories and everything like that. But yeah, I know that Dragon Ball is not for everyone. And if you want to watch a less filler version of Dragon Ball Z, well, there is one. And that is none other than... If you want to watch a less filler version of Dragon Ball Z, then watch Dragon Ball Z Kai, as basically Kai has better editing and better pacing and takes out the filler. And basically, yeah, it overall helps you to get more involved into the story of Dragon Ball Z better than ever. And basically, yeah, this is basically like a director's cut or remaster. It's basically like a director's cut, re-edited, remaster HD version of Dragon Ball Z, and it has like better English dub cast and better pacing, and just, yeah, it's overall pretty amazing. So if you want to watch a less filler version of Dragon Ball Z, then watch DBZ Kai. And yeah. Or if you are intrigued of watching this series, then I recommend you to watch this series. I highly recommend you to watch Dragon Ball Z. Go watch Dragon Ball Z. It is overall pretty amazing. That, and especially DBZ Kai as well. I grew up with this version more than the original Funimation English dub. And yeah, I mean, I kind of preferred this a lot more than the Funimation English dub. But then again, I do like both. So yeah. Hell, I even collect some of the action figures. I collect the figures of Dragon Ball Z, both action figures. And of not course, just that, but I also met with one of the voice actors, like Sean Shamil, the voice of Goku. And I also even have some more Dragon Ball stuff. And I also even have the manga as well. I also got an autograph from Sean Shamil, the voice of Goku. And not only that, I also have the mangas as well. I have pretty much the manga of Dragon Ball Z. And if you cannot get into the anime for some reason, then definitely read the manga. And I also even have some of the Dragon Ball Z films for the most part. Like I have Dragon Ball Z Battle of Gods, Dragon Ball Z Resurrection F, and Dragon Ball Super Broly. Pretty awesome. Definitely awesome. Yep. I do not have superhero yet, and I'm hoping to get it soon, probably around next year, but yeah. Anyways, if you guys are into Dragon Ball Z, then this anime is a must-watch. Trust me, this anime is overall pretty cool. Yep. If you guys enjoyed this video, please leave a like, share, and comment, and I will see you all in the next video. Peace out.